Hi, it's Richard Moore from Racing Profits Guides, and we're up here at James Gibbons' yard, and we've just bumped into Freddie Tylicki, so we thought we'd have a chat with Freddie, a bit about himself and also the courses he rides around the country. We'll have a look at some of the all-weather courses, and then we'll go on to a couple of turf courses as well. All right, Freddie, how are you doing?
Very well, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So let's talk a bit about your history, Freddie. What brought you into racing?
I was born into it. My father was a multiple champion jockey in Germany.
All right.
So from a young age I knew what the game was all about and how hard it can be, and lifestyle wise, and you know, from a young age I knew I was going to be a jockey, so I always worked towards it.
Yeah. And where did you start your training?
Started training in Ireland with Dermot Weld. I spent 3 years there, served a couple of years of my apprenticeship with him, but I also done my school at the same time. And as you know, German is my first language. English was my second then. And I finished off my school in Ireland at St Patrick's Community College.
All right.
And I then went on to Mr Bulger and spent a further 3 years with him.
Yeah, and then did you come over to this country after that then?
I did indeed, yes. And ever since I joined the UK, things have just developed nicely for me. I turned champion apprentice in 2009.
Right.
So I was delighted with that.
And were you with Richard Fahey at the time?
I was indeed, yes. He provided me with a lot of winners, and I was riding for a lot of trainers and rode 71 winners that year, so it was a great amount of winners.
And you've only ever ridden the flat, have you, or have you done some jumps racing in your time?
No, just on the flat.
Just on the flat. And you obviously now you ride for a variety of trainers. Who are some of the trainers you ride for now? Yeah,
I've got good contacts up north and down south, and I do a lot of travelling. You know, I ride all over the country. I've been kept very busy. My agent Richard Hale does a great job for me. So I'm delighted with the way things are going for me this year.
And who are the main trainers that you'd ride for at the moment then?
I ride a lot for John Jenkins, get a few rides of Clive Britton and that, and from there on, you know, I've got a variety of trainers I ride for. So
you don't mind being freelance then and riding for a few people?
No, for me it's a good position to be in at the moment. I'm available to everyone that wants me, and obviously to the trainers that provide me with the most winners, you know.
Brilliant. Okay, Freddie, let's move on to Lingfield. Obviously the big difference with Lingfield to the other courses is the undulations there, isn't it?
Yes, very true. Some horses don't really handle it going into the dip, because you're running downhill for quite some way, and then it's a sharp bend which turns into the home straight, and it tends to swing you out wide. So some of them don't handle it, but the majority of horses does.
And what's the surface like there? Because they replaced that, was that the end of last year? It was September, October time, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah, obviously it was down for a long period of time, so it needed to be resurfaced. Towards the end of it, there was just lumps flying at you, and it just wasn't fair on the horses or riders anymore. But so it served its purpose. But now that they've put on this new surface, it's a great poly track again, you know.
Is it? Yeah, a very light kickback now, not.
There's hardly anything now, you know. It's very easy on the horse, to be honest.
Is it riding deep, or is it bedded in quite nicely now?
It was riding deep obviously at the beginning, but now it's starting to bed in more and more. So I think it's a great all-weather track. My strike rate around there is quite good.
Is it?
I
enjoy it there?
Yeah, I enjoy it there. But I think any type of horse can go around it, really. There's always a good pace on, no matter what trip you run over. And there isn't an awful lot of hard luck stories either, you know.
No. So let's run through the trips then. So the 5 furlongs, a small spur, and then you come into that little straight, and then, as you say, drop down and swing nearly 90 degrees into the home straight. So are you looking for a decent draw position there? Is there any advantage to low draws there?
Well, obviously, yes. You know, the lower the draw really over the 5 furlongs, the better. But if you are drawn high and you still jump out quite positively, it's not the end of the world, because you end up in the middle of the track, and that's usually the place where you want to be anyways.
One of the fastest areas, is it?
Exactly, it's the fastest area, and if you watch the big guys like the likes of Ryan Moore, and Richard Hughes rides that track very well.
He does, yeah.
As well as other jockeys, they tend to be going 3 or 4 horse widths wide around the bend anyways. And so when you swing in for home there, then you're you end up in the middle of the track, and that's where you want to be, and that's where you want to make your challenge.
And is it because such a sharp bend as well, you can get a bit of trouble in running there if they're all backing up on that bend? So going wider, you're going to avoid that, do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You are avoiding a bit of traffic problems every now and then.
But it is mainly because it's the fastest strip of ground.
It's the fastest strip, yeah.
Yeah. And then the 6 furlong, obviously round the bend a bit. When you're coming out of the stalls there, it's downhill, is it? Straight into that bend, or?
The 6 furlongs around is fast and furious, really. That's one way of describing it. Horses that are drawn low, they tend to go forward. If you're drawn high, then you haven't really as much a chance to get a great position.
Right.
And then it happens very quick around there. You're straight into the bend. You're running then up the fall straight. You're going downhill then and swinging for home again. So everything is happening very quick there for a horse.
Yeah. So if you're not in a good position, it's very hard to recover.
It's very hard to get into the race and find your rhythm. You're sort of always niggling then if you're not travelling, and you need a horse that travels around there, really.
So if you're pushing a horse along too early, then you know your chance is gone. Is that what you're thinking? You haven't got the rhythm going.
Well, things just wouldn't work out for you. I wouldn't say your chance is gone, but it just wouldn't work for you. Some horses, they like to do the work themselves, and if you start niggling along on them too early on, well then you're not going to finish, you know.
No. And what about the 7 and the mile then? Are they pretty similar to the 6, or have you got a bit more time to get position?
There's a bit more time to get a position. I think they're quite fair. 7 furlongs is very simple around there, so is the mile. Lingfield does suit front runners, to be honest, but not many of them win around there.
No.
Whatever is handy, again, sort of wins the race there. But no, I can't see any problems with a 7 or a mile there.
No. And the longer trips, the 2 mile trip and the 1 mile, what do they have, a 1 mile 4 there as well?
There's a 1 mile 4 there, which is right at the bottom of the straight. So yeah, they're the type of
stamina test because it's not as flat, or
you have to have a bit of stamina up your sleeve, definitely. Races are run at a decent pace there usually. So obviously with your ups and downs a little bit, you have to have something up your sleeve.
Definitely. And so what type of horse there? We've talked about the other courses. Do you think galloping types at Lingfield, or again is it a mixture?
It's a mixture, but I think it's
sprints. Obviously, you need a very nippy type.
You need a very nippy type in the sprints. For the more staying races, again, you can win on horses that are galloping horses, and that do tend to stretch their legs a bit. So any type of horse really suits Lingfield, I would say.